ACL Live. It is February 20th. Bernie and I are going to recap the Super Bowl, the entire episode. Or I guess we could go through ACL Open number 8 and let you guys know who we want to watch for singles and doubles. Bernie, how are things going, man?
Things are going well, except for my internet, but everything else seems to be going really well. How about yourself?
Good to hear, man. Good to hear. Not too bad. I just cooked myself some dinner and it was a frozen au gratin potato bowl, and I was really looking forward to it. And it said cook for like 30 minutes. And I cooked it for 30, and I pulled out still frozen. I'm like, what the? So I ended up eating some cold au gratin potatoes, but the teriyaki chicken was pretty good. It was just kind of a throw together meal anyway. But I'm here, man. I'm here, trucking along. Feels like it was a long weekend for me, and I feel like it's just going to get a little bit worse because hit the road on Wednesday, get ready to head to Winter Haven, Florida, and then right after that, man, we go right to Westwego. So Open number 8 and number 9 are back-to-back. We'll do the breakdown here today, and then next week it'll be Bernie and Michelle holding it down.
Oh, yeah.
I was looking at the schedule. You only got like 3 days off the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's we're going now, man. It's getting really close to winning for us. It's just you're already doing it, with the Opens and being everywhere that you are. I mean, I haven't really jumped into that yet, but when the shootout series kind of starts in earnest and the Nationals begin, I was looking at the schedule, man. It's and I'm moving, so that's going to go over super well.
I feel like you're moving forever.
Hey, put all that stuff together. I'm not going to be here.
Yeah, I put it at a perfect time of year. So every August my lease is up, and I get to decide if I want to move to a different state or where I want to go to. So I do mine once the season ends, right after Spencer McKenzie. Then I'm free to go wherever. But how was your Super Bowl, man? Did you enjoy it?
I was out there. We did the Super Bowl thing. We were out in Arizona. It was interesting. Actually, Ghostfinger, Michael Caine, and myself actually watched the Super Bowl in Santa Fe. But the Super Bowl experience, it's pretty impressive, wasn't it? I felt bad for Jalen Hurts, actually.
He played his ass off for sure.
I'm really surprised by that guy because I remember watching him in college going, well, he's a really good college quarterback at Alabama, but he's probably never going to play in the pros. I mean, literally. It's like we've seen this movie 1,000 times, it seems like, with some of these guys, and they're kind of one-trick ponies. Proving everybody wrong, man. Proving me wrong for sure. So I was really impressed with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I remember when he came in the league the first year, like some of the analysts were like, he's just not the answer. This was a bad pick. He's not the answer to their long-term plans. And he's a beast, man. I mean, I like how Patrick Mahomes stayed classy afterwards, said, Jalen Hurts, if you guys weren't a believer, you better be now. That was pretty classy on Mahomes' part. But I don't like the backlash.
Have you seen that thing? No, go ahead.
I just don't like the backlash, how everyone's blaming the one player, the referees, or something like that. I think the Philadelphia Eagles handled it with class, man. I mean, looking at the big scope of things, and I think that's the right way to look at it, man. But we're getting such a cancel culture, crybaby world now that you're going to have that.
What do you think of that call? I mean, I've got a real opinion on it. I think I've got a legitimate opinion on it.
So that little sequence right there cost me $1,000 because I had the square lined up where they needed the touchdown. So if he didn't hold, I think he's catching the ball for a touchdown. I don't necessarily think it was a big enough hold for them to be like, oh, throw the flag game on the line, And then Jerick McKinnon not running in the touchdown. I was just like in shambles.
Yeah, that had to kill you. I mean, look, I had no problem with that call. I just don't like it called then because that happens. I mean, we see that. We see defensive backs turn receivers all the time. We see with a little tug that never gets called. I don't mind the call. Just call it all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think
like if that's your call, be consistent with it. For sure it did. But they let a lot of that go. And if you're going to let it go, let it go. But if you're going to call it, just call it all the time. That's all I'm saying. I have no problem with it by rule. What he did was wrong, but
Now, do you think if there was a no call there and the Chiefs don't end up scoring on that drive, that we have this argument going the other way, saying it should have been a flag?
I mean, I think there would have been people that probably said, look, he's pulled, but I don't think the argument would have been as vehement. because people are used to seeing that let go. You know what I mean? So I don't think you would have had people as up in arms as they seem to be over the call as it is now.
Yeah. Before we head to break, what do you think about halftime show?
I didn't see it.
You didn't see it?
I saw the tail end of it because we were driving. Yeah, I saw like the last two songs, and it seemed I can't give you an opinion on it other than she looked pregnant and it seemed kind of boring, but people seem to love it. So I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool how they did a whole bunch of stuff. I would have loved to see it in person. The stage setup and everything seemed pretty cool. Just some of the decisions on the wardrobe were kind of confusing to me. It wasn't like a banger. The best Super Bowl halftime show I've ever seen was like Nelly and Britney Spears and like that whole group. You know,
not even close. Not even close to the best.
That was the best.
Prince was the best, and it's not even close.
Yeah, I missed that one.
Actually doing it live, not lip syncing, and doing it in the rain, then singing Purple Rain when it's raining. Come on, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Doing it live, actually.
I may have to go back and watch it, but yeah, I just I don't know, man. It wasn't as amazing as everyone thinks it was for me, at least. But it wasn't.
I read that stuff online. People like thinking it was so great. I was like, oh, well, I only caught the tail end of it, so I can't really comment on it. But it seemed kind of boring. So I must have missed all kinds of stuff then, because I don't know.
Yeah, I like the TikToks that come afterwards where you have like the Kool-Aid Man up on a stage and you got the Super Mario Brother platforms for their video games. And like the internet is undefeated, and I appreciate everything they've thrown together at us. But all right, man, we'll take our first commercial break, guys. When we come back, we'll go ahead and start with your doubles, Bernie. We'll be back here in just a little bit, guys. All right, welcome back, ACL Nation. We're going to go over the bracket breakdown part now. We got Winter Haven, Florida on the clock. Going to head out Wednesday and try and get things settled up down there. But Bernie, let's go ahead and take a look at your doubles list. Go ahead and walk me through who you're looking for.
All right. I like, so when I was going through my list, mine's pretty name heavy, obviously, pretty top heavy. But going through, I just like Jacob Trzynski and Tony Smith. How can you not like those guys? You know what I mean? But I feel, in a way, we haven't heard as much from them in recent months as we get. This time last year, Jacob Trzynski. The last couple of years, Tony Smith. I love them playing together. I would not be surprised at all if they make a ton of noise this weekend.
Yeah, for Jake Trzynski and Tony Smith, they're definitely two of the heaviest hitters in the game last season. And pairing up in the offseason this year, I expect big things for them. So at some point, I expect them to break out and get an open win. They're not really teaming up with other people. And I know it's most of your list here is partner oriented, but they're really not teaming up with other people. So you kind of expect things to click in a certain way that we just haven't really seen yet. I've seen a lot out of Tony Smith that's been very impressive so far this season. Jake Trzynski is amazing off of the main broadcast court, but there's something about the broadcast court that's just not clicking with him lately.
And I wonder if he feels any pressure playing with Tony, and I maybe he doesn't, maybe he doesn't even think about it, but just I think Tony's kind of started to get this name for himself as far as an elite level talent. And I wonder if that's hard when you're going to be a playing partner with someone and they've got such a high level of talent. You feel like, as talented as Trzynski is, I wonder if he's kind of pressing a little bit. But that's one of the reasons why I have him on this list. We're getting closer to national time now. It's time for some of these teams to really kind of start ratcheting up, what they expect out of each other.
Yeah, this is kind of a good point. We're at the halfway mark right now. This is the last open for the first half of the season. As we start gearing up for these nationals here in a couple months, we do want to see the unity and the team starting to click. I'm impressed with what I've seen out of them so far, but I do want more.
Yeah. And that's the same reason, team number two for me. Aren't they just too good to not win all the time? I mean, it's unfair that the expectations that someone like myself has for Matt Guy and Jimmy Graham. I legitimately think that they should be either near or right at the end of their bracket every tournament they play in. And that's unfair considering the level of talent that's out there, but that's the expectation. And I'm pretty sure they have that same expectation level themselves.
Yeah, I mean, with Matt Guy and Jamie Graham, though, I mean, they're at the top of the top. You know what I mean? They're definitely going to be mentioned in everybody's names as far as the 1, 2, and 3 goes. They're going to be in the top 3 mentions for sure. The thing with them, though, is that everyone else below them, probably in the next 50 ranked teams or so, they could get to that same level as Matt Guy and Jamie Graham. It's just a matter of them catching them on their off game. So, I mean, you can only throw a 12. That's as high as you could possibly get. It's not going to happen throughout the course of a tournament. So let's just say 10.5. There's players that can throw over 10.5 and just catch them sleep in one game. But yeah, I would expect Matt Guy and Jamie Graham to win every open they team up together. And it's kind of weird that we don't really see Matt Guy and Jamie Graham teaming up at opens that much because it's usually Matt and Brett. But strong favorites going into Winter Haven for sure.
Yeah, that's why number 1 and number 2, I would not be surprised if that's a final. You know what I mean? Don't be shocked. And number 3, I've been liking what I've been seeing out of Bella Suprinet.
Bella, in my opinion, right now is the hottest female on the planet. She's throwing.
Yeah, amazing. And I really liking what I'm seeing. I like playing with Cameron Kingfisher. I want to see if she keeps playing at the level she's playing, and then he does what he does. That's a dangerous duo right there. Dangerous. It's a quiet duo. It's quiet, but dangerous. I mean, it's especially if they get kind of a couple matches into a bracket. I don't think that's a team that you want to play. You know what I mean? This might be a team that you want to play early. But
yeah, I can see that.
If they develop some sort of, heat as a doubles team in this tournament, all of a sudden, I don't think you want to catch them 3 matches in. Might be good to catch them while they're figuring things out, first round or so, and then you can kind of maybe put them on the, put them on the defensive. But if they get it going, I like the way she's been playing, man. That's why I put them on the list. I really want to see if she can continue. And obviously it's a doubles team, but I want to see if Bella can kind of continue this level of play that she's got going.
Yeah. Well, the other thing about them is they're a young team. So if they start getting into some early bracket troubles, how are they mentally going to rebound from it? We haven't really seen them team up together that much. In the off season, it was kind of like, well, who's going to throw with Bella? Who's going to throw with Bella? And then eventually Cameron Kingfisher came along and they teamed up. But it wasn't one of these teams where we're kind of just like, wow, we got to see what's going on. But the way that Bella's been throwing lately, I don't care who Bella's throwing with now. It's a wow, I want to see what they're going to do. But Cameron Kingfisher has some big shoes to fill now because Bella is throwing so great. So early rounds in the bracket, I definitely think are going to be the determining factor as far as how far they go.
Yep, 100%. And what do you think about number 4 here? Tice Cobb and Tyler Cobb. So
Well,
Tice not playing with Tubby. Were they? And you had to adjust it?
I had to adjust my list. That's why we got the picture of Tyler there, because they were going to be my number 1 team to watch this weekend, because it's interesting. Whenever you have Tyler and anyone else, you're kind of like, okay, it's Tyson Tubby. But then whenever it's not Tyson Tubby, you're kind of like, oh, poor Tubby. Like,
right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Like I just interesting duo. I mean, obviously, how many times these guys play cornhole together, even though they don't, they're not partners all the time. I just think this could be, it's another team kind of like talking about how Bella's, like, if they get hot and they find something, watch out. Watch out. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean,
I still think number 1 or number 2 is probably going to be in the finals on my list. And I normally don't judge it that way, but I just, obviously that's not, not out on a limb with that selection. But I would not be surprised to see team number 4 here, the Cobb brothers, deep in a bracket. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, the Cobb, obviously very familiar with each other. They throw almost every single day in their little shed. I'm actually trying to work something out where I don't have to fly back home to Kansas City, and I could actually fly out to their she shed and start practicing with these boys and kind of hang out with them for a little bit. But I don't know. I mean, if you're Tubby, are you rooting for or against this? I mean, if Tyson Tyler,
I mean, they gotta be. That family's tight, man. That family's tight.
No, they root for each other no matter what.
All right, number 5. Yeah, number 5. You weren't doing this show with me as much last year, and so towards the last half of the year, Adam Hissner and Cody Henderson ended up on every one of my lists because the talent's still there. I don't know about the desire, and I don't know about the time that they're putting into the game, but I still believe, and I could be wrong because I'm wrong a lot of the time, I still believe the talent level is there to be an elite level doubles team. And so we saw it at the World Championships. They hadn't played well all year. Then bang, right? Final 4. It's there. We're at another point in the season. Haven't really heard much about those guys. I never don't think about them as a doubles team. And maybe it's just because I'm older. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I've watched them pretty much anytime I have a chance to, and I see the talent never slipping away. They have the shots, they have the abilities, they have the knowledge. The question is always going to be the desire for me. Whenever they were in Kentucky teamed up together, I was like, these guys are back. They're ready to roll. And obviously they had the strong showing at Worlds, but then nothing, crickets since then. So the question is going to remain, like, do they almost feel entitled to the point where they don't need to throw it opens? They just get it together the last 3 months of the season and go after a world championship. I mean, that doesn't sit well with me. I want to see something out of them consistently, at least once a month or once every other month, but it's just quiet. I think I lost you there on the audio.
Wow. That's
now you're back.
I mean, that's interesting. That's an interesting. I mean, I understand where that's coming from. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from there. I do. I mean, like, am I gone? Am I back? I'm having some internet issues, but yeah, I get what you're saying there. I mean, they're too good. They're too good not to be a danger in a way. Do they care enough? I don't know.
Yeah, that's always going to be the biggest question. Do they care enough, and how badly do they want it? So, all right, that's Bernie's list for doubles. We're going to go ahead and take another commercial break. You're still here, buddy. And when we get back, we'll go through my doubles list. See you guys here in just a few.
Yeah.
All right, ACL Nation, welcome back. We're going over the bracket breakdown part of the show. Bernie is back with me. He's muted right now, though, but he'll join me in a second. But I do want to note, I want to let you guys know something, chat. I'm not Trey Ryder. I'm not Anthony Allen. I'm not Jeff McCarrick. I'm Canine. I like to talk with you guys in the chat. Let me know who you guys think we're missing, because we got Austin says, don't you think there's a team missing? It'd be fun if you guys would tell me. That way we can hit it on my list, or at least give them some acknowledgement. But there we go. What's up, Zach? Appreciate you, brother. All right, Bernie, how's your delay working now? You good?
I don't know what's wrong with the internet tonight. I guess it's just too nice a day, I guess.
It's all good. Yeah, they're
Just,
telling
too
you
nice
to
a day
take
out
break,
today.
man. You're
just
working
not
too hard. All right. Well, let's get into my doubles list. I'll kind of give you a little bit of a pause.
I wish that was the case. Actually, it's not. I don't know what's wrong with this thing. Let's do it.
All right, so here's my double teams to look out for. We got Gavin Cano and Mark Richards teaming up right here. That's my number one team to keep an eye out on. This is an interesting pairing for me. I'm very, very curious to see how these two throwing styles are going to get along. We got the rolls and the disciplined shots coming from Gavin Cano, and then you got the fast side Mark Richards on the other side. Now, I have seen both players throw different types of bags together. But Bernie, what do you think about this pairing between Gavin Cano and Mark Richards, and what do you expect out of them as far as bracket play goes? Oh, I lost Bernie completely. He's just gone altogether. All right, chat, so I'll talk with you guys. What do you guys think as far as Gavin Cano and Mark Richards go? For me, I'm looking to see what type of bags they're going to throw. For one, if I had to guess, I'm going to say that they're going to throw something sticky. Maybe some wizards or something like that. Might be a nice little compromise between the two. But as far as them pairing up, I think it was just some big names wanting to see who they could throw with. And it's going to be an interesting pairing to see how far they can get into the bracket play. Getting out of rounders, I think, is going to be no problem. But getting into bracket play, what's the chemistry going to look like? Where are we going to go from there? All right, number 2 on my list, I'm going to go with Noah Almanza and Devin Harbaugh. And the reason I want to see what this team is going to do is I want to see what shoes Noah Almanza is going to be throwing in. Got this picture on here for a reason. Coming out of Spencer McKinsey, we got the bucket hat, climbing slipper version of Noah Almanza. And Devin Harbaugh has just been one of the hottest players on the planet right now. Noah Almanza coming hot off of some Winterfest victories. I want to see if he can continue that into open play. And teaming up with Devin Harbaugh, I just think that's going to be a very, very tough team to beat. All right, Edward said, Mark threw carpet with Baby Goat in California. Yeah, at Spencer's, right? Adrian Johnson, Leston Allen. Adrian, I love you, bro. I love you. I had you on one of my lists before, though. Gavin says they are going to throw Wizards. So Gavin coming in clutch in the chat, letting us know with some inside information as far as what we got going on. But yeah, Harbaugh and Almanza winning it all, Travis says. I think it's going to be fun, man. I'm looking forward to this throwing style. I think these are two players that are going to be very, very disciplined on the courts. The communication is always going to be key. They have all the shots. I just want to see how well it meshes and what we got going on. All right, team number 3 on my list, I'm going with Ben Close and Lionel Morton. I wanted to make sure that I threw on some players that most of you guys don't know about, but players that you can keep your eye out for as pro caliber players that don't necessarily get all the recognition because they're not elite. So Ben and Lionel teaming up, great dudes. Love seeing that they're teaming up together for this one. Ben came very, very close to making it as a pro. Fell just a little bit short in the conference qualifier to Zach the Rocket. And then Lionel Morton last year was playing the competitive division, worked his way all the way up to the point where they bumped him up on their own. He wasn't able to get in via the qualifier, but definitely throwing in the advanced division right now. I want to see if these guys can make tier 1. And if so, how far they can go. But chat, you guys all know L Train. He's been in pretty much every single open, every single tournament, just spreading love, man. He's got a great personality, and I want to see what these guys can do together. Winter Haven. We're going to Winter Haven this year for open number 8. And Adrian says, as a fan, I love Devin and Noah. That's going to be a fun team to watch. All right, let's bring Bernie back in. There you go, brother. Hey, you sound better this time, too. No more delay.
Do I? Is everything? But I'm not back on the
It's
screen yet, so I'm having all kinds of issues with the internet.
it's all good. We're going through my list, right? You can see my list, right?
I can.
Okay, so I just got done going through the first three. We got Gavin and Mark, Noah and Devin, and then Ben Close and Lionel.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
what do you have to say about those three?
I mean, what's not to like about that number one team you got out there? I mean, Mark Richards is continuing to be Mark Richards. I like Gavin's game a lot. I think he's another one of the players that's kind of on the come up, even though, I mean, those in the game have known about him for the last year and a half. But to me, he seems like a guy that's going in a positive direction. So I love his game. I think Noah Almanza, Devin Harbaugh, that's part of the Brat Pack. I think that's a dangerous squad right there.
Other than Devin and myself, is there anyone that Devin Harbaugh teams up with that you don't think they have a chance to win?
That's such a good point, Wally. I mean, even I think you and Devin play, you're a top 5 team.
It's sad, isn't it? He's just so good. He's that good, and whenever you pair him up with another top 5 player, it's dangerous. It's
I had him, when we did our power list earlier this year. I had him number 1 for that reason, because he is so dangerous in doubles and he's still so dangerous in singles. I just think, I mean, are there other people that are making, a name for themselves as possibly being in that discussion? Obviously. But for me, I love Devin Harbaugh. I love the way he plays. And you put him with someone like Noah Almanza, who he's used to playing with. They play together. I mean, I would not be surprised if that team is playing one of my top 2 teams for a championship.
Yeah, the thing with Devin, though, is Devin's lights out right now with the boardwalkers. I don't know contracts and all that type of stuff as far as what bags you could throw when you have a certain type of partner or whatever. But I'm going to be curious to see what they want to throw. I mean, I think my original reaction would probably go something like Widow R or Viper R between these two. But I haven't seen a bag that Devin can't throw.
Right.
Same thing with Noah. So to be honest with you, I'll give them a brand new, pack of slide rights. I'm pretty sure they'll make the top 10.
Right.
All right, and then going into my number 4 team right here, this is a team that I'm very high on this year. A lot of people aren't with me on it, but Chris Kingsbury and Alan Rawls, I love what I've seen out of them so far. I hate that okay, I'll take that back. I love everything except for the 12-second shot clock for these guys. These guys are either pushing the border or going right over the border as far as the shot clock goes, but that's what makes them so strong is they don't care about the other players or other people on the court or the viewers or anything. They're going to stay in their lane. Right. They're going to throw the bags exactly how they want to throw their bags, when they want to throw their bags, and if they get a couple penalties as far as timeouts go along the way, so be it. Their skill is there, and their decision making is there as far as
Well, do you think some of that is on purpose? It's gamesmanship, or because honestly, do you really need that long to figure out your shot? And if you do, there is a timeout. But I mean, these guys and girls at this level, they know what they're shooting. They know as soon as they see it, they know what they're shooting.
I think there might be a small portion of it that's gamesmanship, but the thing that I see whenever I watch them play is that they're making sure they're comfortable and ready to shoot that shot.
I got you.
It's like a golfer. You got one golfer, they go up and they take one practice swing, then they hit the ball. And you got others who go up there like, no, that didn't feel right. No, that didn't feel right. All right, now I'm ready. And they'll hit the ball whenever they're ready. And I feel like that's what Chris and Alan are doing. Because you look at Alan, sometimes he flips that bag over, 10, 20, 30, 40 times. And just whenever he feels like the shot is there, that's when he shoots it. So
I mean, I get it. I mean, it makes sense. I don't know if that's productive. Because the more you think about most people, I'm not saying all, Alan might have a completely different mindset on what works for him, and that's great. But most human beings, especially in a sport like this, it doesn't have to be fired right away. Give yourself a couple seconds. 5 seconds is a lot longer than you think it is when you're standing there by yourself. I think it does more harm than good. Sometimes you can overthink. You can take yourself out of a good decision because you're thinking about it for so long. I don't know.
Last time I saw them was in the Myrtle Beach New Year's party, which ended up turning into a New Year's match. They had a very, very strong run in there, and that's when all the shot clock gate and everything kind of started to happen. But I was very impressed with their performance and very impressed with their shots. I want to see if they can continue that here heading into Winter Haven. Not to mention, they're both Florida boys.
There you go.
Playing in your backyard, sleeping in your own bed could have a huge factor as far
I
as
think it always helps, especially in the opens, man. It seems like people are always protecting their turf in the opens.
Yeah, I mean, they love it. They love it when it comes to their neck of the woods. All right, number 5 on my list. I had to get my guy on there, Jeremy Frazier, as well. But most importantly, what I want to single out on this team here is Ryan Trader. I guarantee you don't know who this kid is.
I do not.
So Ryan Trader, right? Last time I checked, I believe was number 1 in the Midwest Conference. He is an elite thrower. And what I saw out of Braden Wilson at the last Open in New Mexico, I am just all about this youth movement right now. I believe Ryan is another strong throwing 12-year-old player. He's got the rolls. He's got the airmails. He's got the pushes. He's out there having fun on the boards, though. And that's what's dangerous with these young kids is when they're out there having fun on the boards and they're not afraid to hit any of these shots, that's when they're dangerous because they hit that shot, it fires them up. We saw it with the Gore boys last year.
Sure.
I mean, anytime they get momentum in their favor, the youngsters are going to have it. So I'm looking forward to seeing Ryan Trader's break out here with Jeremy Frazier. Obviously, you know, Jeremy Frazier, you can kind of speak on him a little bit, but this will be a fun pairing.
You know, it's interesting because the way the young kids play, it's kind of the antithesis of what we were talking about with Alan and Chris, the way that they can be so deliberate. The kids get it and go, man. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to overthink it, especially if they're in a groove. It's grab and go. They're not going to think themselves out of the proper play. And that's one of the things I like about watching the kids play. They're getting it and going, man. It doesn't take that long to know what your shot is. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, I get the comfortability thing and you're flipping it around and you're just kind of waiting for your hand to feel right. And I understand that, but I just love the way the kids play.
Yeah. I'm wanting to see, I saw this name on the list and it kind of reminded me of Trey Birchfield and either one of the Gores. You know, he threw with both of them, I believe, and took down some opens, I think. And then he threw with Baby Goat and took down an open too. So I don't know. I got that same vibe when I saw the name on the list to see how Jeremy Frazier does as a father figure. But
he strikes me as a really good partner for a kid like that.
Yeah, Jeremy Frazier, he's got a good head on his shoulders, and Ryan Trader, he's a good kid. So I'm looking forward to this one. But time for another commercial break, Bernie. I got you back on the live feeds.
No more delay. Is it working? Is it working now? There's no delay. Oh man, way to go! I fixed it.
This is better than it's been all episodes so far.
Nice.
But, all right, chat. Let us know who we missed out on doubles. We already got Jacob Gore in the chat saying they're sleeping on him on Angel Camarena. And we saw them in Myrtle Beach have some strong showings in the college stuff. But it's the big leagues now, Angel. You got to step your game up.
Step it up.
Jacob, I beat you 1-on-1. So, I mean, come on. How can I put you on my list? Shots fired.
Wow, man. That is – I can't even believe I heard it.
Commercial break. All right, chat. Welcome back in ACL Live here on February 20th, breaking down Winter Haven Open number 8. Bernie is looking immaculate now as he's not slipping all over the screen or talking like a robot.
Yeah, this is so much better.
But yeah, so touch base real quick with Jacob. And that's what I'm saying. You cannot let a guy with a microphone beat you. Whether you like, I feel like he kind of let off the gas pedal a lot. You know what I mean? At the end, he had me. But then, like, I caught him. I caught him slipping. I beat him 21-20. And then Eric Anderson walked up. He's like, "This can't be real." And I was like, "Yeah, I got him."
Got him.
You can never let a guy with a microphone beat you because I will not let you.
Because you cannot scream as loud as we can on these microphones.
Exactly. All right, Bernie, let's take a look at your singles here for Open number 8. Go ahead and walk us through it.
Yes, sir. I stole your boy again, dude. I love me some Ryan Wiedenfeld, and obviously everyone knows everything that's gone on with the Wiedenfeld family, so you don't have to jump into that. I just am going from what I saw in the shootout number 1 championships over alongside Super Hole. There is a quiet confidence to his game that I just enjoy watching. Right? I mean, all the things going on, and like, look, and that crowd that was there that night. I mean, the cast of Breaking Bad's rolling in on one side of the room. You've got all these professional athletes, and then you've got these GMs and, some minority owners in the crowds. I mean, you have this crowd of people that could probably make someone nervous if they were apt to get nervous. You have really the first time being on national television in that way. Didn't faze him, not at all. Didn't faze him at all. And we were talking about before we went to break during the last segment about guys that get it and go. Ryan's one of those guys. He's not taking a lot of time. I mean, he'll take a little bit if necessary, but we're talking a few seconds. Most of the time, he knows exactly what he wants to do, goes with first instinct, and it's usually right. And I just love watching the kid play.
Yeah, Ryan can rip it within a 5-second shot clock, no hesitation at all. Before the bag stops moving, he's already started his wind up. Yeah. And his mind processes everything so quickly that he knows exactly which angle to put on it, what tilt. And he's one of these type of players that he just wants to throw a bag. I don't think he cares what the situation is. I don't think he cares what the score is. He just wants to throw a bag.
Yep.
So that is one of his strengths as far as why he was such an elite part of that first shootout, is because he doesn't really think about all the negative stuff. He just wants to throw a bag and make every bag in his hand.
Yeah, and it was a pleasure to watch, and it really was. And then number 2 for me, Trey Birchfield. Don't you feel like we need more from Trey Birchfield these days?
I'm kind of thinking of Trey as kind of like a boomerang for a little bit. Trey was at the top, just winning championships. Then he kind of went away, got a little Hollywood lifestyle and partied a little bit. And then we got relationship version of Trey. Now he's kind of calm, cool, and collected and back at it. But I think he's come back to throwing at the elite level again. So I haven't seen a deep run in singles. It's kind of been Trey and Alex for probably the last, 8-9 months.
Yep.
Yeah. So we need singles Trey.
We need singles Trey. And he's the kind of player that this youth movement I wonder about, because, look, there's quite a few players that 2-3 years ago were, household names. Everyone knew who they were. They were always on TV. Then you have these last 2-3 rookie classes that are just so elite, and it kind of reshuffles the deck. And some people have stepped up in that shuffling. Not everyone has. And obviously, like you just stated, in doubles, we still see Trey all the time with Alex. But is that more because Alex is playing at an elite level than Trey? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like the talent level is still too good for Trey Birchfield not to be a danger in every singles tournament he's in.
Yeah, from what I've seen from Trey, is his throws are all there. He's back. The only problem with Trey is that when he makes a mistake, it could be a big round. It could be a 6 or it could be a 7.
Such a good point.
And it's going to slowly get him out of the game, and then he has to slowly get back into the game. And at that time, we're talking like 4 rounds. How many points has he given up, or what type of momentum has he lost in those 4 rounds?
Look at you. That's a good point. And then speaking of good points, on to number 3, Carson. How do you follow up winning an Open? Right? I mean, how do you become this guy? And, everyone knows who you are as a player. Everyone knows your talent. But then you have a big win, and you have kind of a big statement weekend. do you use that as a springboard? Do you keep going with that? Or is that just kind of a one-hit wonder kind of thing? And I'm curious to see where Carson's at mentally this weekend.
It just goes to show you we're never going to be happy, right? I mean, you're like,
Right,
okay,
right,
we want
right.
some new bloods to win these opens. We want something new to talk about. Carson wins it. And immediately we're all kind of like, all right, was it a fluke? Was the field not that tough? Were people off for their games? What
Sure.
happened?
We're jerks. I'm a jerk. Look, I mean, I know, like, look, that's kind of why we have this platform though, for people like us, because we're not going to be happy. It's kind of our job and the way that our minds work to be like, I see what just happened. Now here's the 10 things that I think about that. And usually 8 of those 10 are negative.
Exactly. I mean, that's pretty much, that's how we're all supposed to function, to be honest with you. We're supposed to prove ourselves wrong. And then whenever we do, we're like, yeah, we did it.
Yeah.
One thing I want to touch base on whenever I was watching Carson at that New Mexico Open in singles, whenever he had his back against the wall, and this is something that's very, very hard for the pros or any players to do, Carson had some immaculate, I don't know, just something came over him where he was just confident in every single shot that he was taking. He wasn't afraid to shoot an airman with the game on the line. He wasn't thinking about the miss. He was believing he can make every single shot. Just like I saw it again this last weekend at the regional. Carson is at the top of his game right now, and he believes he could win every single thing. And he believes he deserves to be there. So,
wow. I mean, the word that's the most important word in that statement is confident. If I think that's what separates the truly elite players, and just like in any other sport, right? The truly elite players have complete self-belief. You don't see, that top 10 group going, well, I don't know if I can make that shot, or, you know what I mean? Their confidence level is so high, and that self-belief is so high that they're always going to be a top 10 player, it seems like. And Carson, maybe he's riding that, but how long does he ride it? Is this the new Carson, or does he have one bad weekend and all of a sudden that confidence is gone? Right. I mean, I don't know. And like you're just saying, we do tend to lean a little negative more than we should. Or at least I know I do.
I'm right there with you, brother.
Number 4, Tanner Halbert. Tanner Halbert's one of those guys like I was just talking about, the top 10 player. I feel like Tanner's always going to be there. If maybe not top 10, maybe top 15, but he's always going to be in that discussion. And I know he's going to get mad at me, and I know he's going to think I'm crazy. But let me see your opinion on it. Do you think he needs a little more variety in his game?
I don't think so.
Not a lot.
I don't think so, and I think he's trying to put it there. I think he's trying to do a little cut and roll and stuff like that. And I know it pisses Cat off, but I think that Tanner has. Here's the thing with Tanner. Whenever Tanner came over rookie season, we were all kind of like, all right, Tanner, he's been here before. He's won this before. He is the team, or he is the player, team of the Eric Zockline that we need to watch out for because they're going to be an elite status. Right. And Tanner is elite. He's been elite. The only problem is he doesn't have like that win
signature. Yeah.
We want a win out of Tanner, and we're taking for granted just exactly how hard it is to get that win.
That's so true. And nobody, I mean, I would argue that no one had worse luck late in tournaments than Tanner Halbert last season. Nobody. I mean, it just seems like weird. I mean, weird things would happen. And, I'm wondering, I don't know. Once again, he's always going to be elite.
I feel like when he gets his win, we're going to be like, finally.
Fine. I know, right? Finally. Welcome to the show, Tanner. Yeah. I mean,
do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he is so, when you watch someone that's so consistently excellent, right? That's your expectation. And sometimes you forget that they can be consistently excellent and not win. And that's, look, he's still a top 10 player in the world, but he's not winning the way that some of us, i.e. me, thought that he might. Number 5, throwing a lady at you, Sam Finley. Didn't you feel like at the beginning of this season, especially the first half of the Open Series, the beginning of this season, that Sam Finley was going to kind of, make that run at being one of the best women on the planet? And for some reason, I feel like that stalled a little bit.
Yeah, I have her as my number 1 female for the year, based off of how she started the season. I'm going to stay there. I'm going to stick with her. And I feel like this is just kind of the lull in the season for her.
Sure.
But I do think it's the exact opposite of Carson right now, and that Sam has had some struggles and her confidence is lacking.
Well,
So
there you go.
whatever she does to get that confidence back, I have no idea. But whenever she does, I feel like she'll be right back near the top again.
And I think she suffers from the fact that she has, in her real life, real work.
Mm-hmm.
And that gets in the way. I mean, look, when you look at what these kids can do worth playing and throwing 8 hours a day, that someone like Sam Finley just can't do that. She has a real job. She's a store owner. She's got real responsibilities. So it's hard to be like, hey, I'll see you. I'm taking the next 5. I mean, Tanner Halbert's in the same boat. I mean, a lot of these guys, Tanner's in the same boat. Like, hey, I don't, can't just leave your job and say, hey, I'm going to go practice for 5 hours. I'll see you. It just doesn't work that way. And so I wonder with Sam if that's part of the problem.
Yeah, I don't know how to get over that though. That's a grind, and then whenever you get to that point where you're like, well, I need compensation for my actual job, and then you get paid that, then you're like, well, I could make this much more if I keep my job.
Right. Right.
The worker's mentality. How do you get rid of that to shift your gears from a working person to a full-time cornhole player? That's something I don't even know. I got
that's a big question.
Right. I got 2 jobs and all the time in the world right now. I don't practice, so I couldn't tell you.
Practice.
Right.
Talking about
practice. All right. One list left to go. I do want to mention real quick that we do have the Wiedenfeld and Lisa Reese fundraiser going on. We've got a 2-minute break coming up. You guys can check out K9 Unit for all the details on that, but only $1 spot gets you in there, and then the money's going to go to help the Wiedenfeld family as well as Lisa Reese with her battle of cancer. So quick little shameless plug there, but you guys got 2 minutes to grab yourself a beverage, check it out, and we'll see you guys back here in a little bit. ACL Nation, welcome back. Down the home stretch here, final 10 minutes of the show. We're going over open number 8 in Winter Haven, Florida. We went through Bernie's doubles and Bernie's singles and my doubles, and here is my singles. Players to watch out for. Starting at the top. Speaking of coming off a hot performance out there at the Super Bowl in Glendale. Is that where you guys were at?
Essentially. Technically it was, I think, more Scottsdale.
Yeah. One of the Dales.
It was one of the Dales.
But yeah, Kyle Malone, no hotter player on the planet right now. He's looking to be the best. We've had the discussion pretty much during that whole downtime. If it was played that day, Kyle Malone was going to win it. We had the confidence on your show. He said, doesn't matter when we play it, who we play it, where we play it, I'm winning this thing. And he backed it up. Kyle Malone, though, for me, from the very beginning of the season all the way through 7 opens so far, has looked like the most consistent and strong player. how long can this go? I want to see if he can do the whole shot and get all the way to the end of the season. It's going to be a very, very difficult task. But I don't know. What are your thoughts? Do you think Kyle Malone can keep this up for another 8 opens and then some nationals?
I mean, you kind of made mention of the show, and he was on, and just there are times when you ask them questions and you get kind of this formulaic answer, right? That, it's kind of like watching NASCAR and they thank, all 25 sponsors and, we're taking it 1 minute at a time, 1 day at a time, just trying, all that stuff, all the cliches. You didn't get that, and you got a real honest answer. My only worry with Kyle Malone, to answer your question originally, is yes, I think that he can. My worry is he is playing at such an elite level. There will, because he's a human being, be another valley at some point.
Mm-hmm.
How does he handle that valley? Because in the past, that valley lasted a year and a half, right? And, does he just see it like, hey, man, just didn't have it this weekend, or, even if it's a national, it wasn't my weekend, no big deal, I'm still playing at an elite level? Or does, the second guessing start coming in and all that? So that's my only worry, because from a talent perspective and a guy that is so cerebral in the way he plays the game, I have no worries as far as that goes with Kyle Malone.
Yeah, Kyle Malone, and I guess kind of Tyler and myself, we all have the similar mental mindset. You know what I mean? Where you don't know what that one trigger is going to be. What one trigger is going to send us in the wrong direction and take us a long time to get back on our path. But Tyler Poitras, number 2 on my list, he's back on the right path right now, and I've liked everything I've seen out of Tyler so far this season. He isn't showing me any signs of wear and tear where the time away has hurt him at all. I think he wants it maybe a little bit too bad, and sometimes putting that unwanted pressure on yourself can cause more damage than good. But I want to watch Tyler Poitras in singles. I like what I'm seeing out of him in doubles. I want to see him put together a whole bracket for singles.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Wally. I mean, I think some of the self-expectation is a little high for Tyler, and I think he might be, I wouldn't say struggles the right word, but, you're good enough, man. Relax.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You don't have to prove it to us. You don't have to prove it to yourself. Just enjoy the ride. That's the only piece of advice I could offer to Tyler. Skill wise, I mean, you got that handled yourself, brother.
Yep.
But number 3 on my list, Matt Guy. I'm watching Matt Guy for a different reason than most people are watching Matt Guy. A lot of people like to watch Matt Guy and kind of wait for him to have his LeBron moment where he kind of fails, and then they look at him and point the finger or whatever. I'm looking at Matt Guy as almost a rebound and a stepping stone. They're breaking out some new bags, to my understanding. Follow him on the social medias, but I feel like Matt Guy is one of these players who were same thing with Tanner Halpert. We're just wanting to see him win, and if he doesn't win, we're kind of like, well, when are you going to do it?
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's an unfair expectation that we put on Matt, but Matt, I think, enjoys that. I mean, I think some people don't like that kind of attention and, are kind of like, hey, man, give me a break. I'm still finishing top 10 every week. You know what I mean? I think Matt's like, yeah, you're right. I should be winning more, But I wonder, my wonder with Matt, now that the talent gaps have kind of evened out and there's not just, I mean, Matt's still elite, but he's not by himself up there.
Yeah.
And I wonder how, is he going to be okay with going through some seasons where he's not number 1? Is that going to ride him?
That's going to be a good segue. Sorry. And back into my point of, I don't have Matt Guy in my top 10. I think I'm the only one out of how many others of this 6, 7 of us?
Yeah.
Where I don't have Matt Guy in my top 10. And I kind of want to be proven wrong. Him and Philip Lopez Jr., I don't have them in there. But the thing is, I could put 20 guys in my top 10.
Sure. I mean, that's,
So prove me wrong or prove me right. Either way, I'm going to enjoy the show.
Yep.
Number 4 on my list, Josh Holland. This is pretty much the opposite, man. I'm just going to flat out say I'm disappointed with what I've seen so far from Josh Holland. He's too talented to not be
way too talented.
Finishing in a bracket, winning a bracket, and going deep in these tournaments. I mean, is this a little bit of a Cody Henderson thing where just the focus isn't there yet? And
I think so.
We need to see the nationals pop up and the big money tournaments pop up before we start seeing something out of Josh Holland. I don't know.
I mean, last year, I remember on this very show with Trey Ryder, we were sitting there discussing Josh Holland, and it was during kind of one of his big streaks, right? I think it was after Chicago. And, we were like, there's times when you watch Josh, you're like, wow, he loses. You know what I mean? But there's also times when you watch Josh that if he doesn't feel it, for at least from what I've seen, and I don't mean this to be overly critical, like we tend to be, but there are times when it seems like if it's not going his way and he's just not feeling it, that he'll just let the game go. That he's not going to really fight all the way to the end. And he's not the only person out there like that. But and maybe he's just smarter than me, right? You're down 17-2. It's not there. Am I really going to grind out 4 more points and then lose anyway? You know what I mean? Where other players, I think, would be like, all right, 17-2, long way back, but starts now.
Yeah, story starts now. I'm ready to go. But
and I wonder if he gets that way sometimes, where it's like, all right, next round, I'm done with this. I'm not playing well. I'm done with this game.
Yeah, I just don't. Maybe I don't know how to read his facial expression sometimes, but I understand what you're talking about, because it does look like he has the same facial expression hitting 36 in a row as he does missing one airmail.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to read the guy. But I do want to see him have deep runs and singles and get back to the top. And
I mean, the talent, once again, like you said, the talent level's there.
Yeah,
right?
Way too talented. All right, number 5 on my list, another very talented individual, Justin Duke. Are you familiar with Justin at all?
Somewhat, not as much as you, though.
Okay, so Justin Duke, one of the elite players in the country, probably within the top 50 to 100 players in the cornhole world. You know what I mean? And that's a huge compliment.
That's big talk.
Don't take the word 50 to be diminished anything.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of what day he's on or off. But Justin Duke, very similar situation to Ryan Wiedenfeld last year at the World Qualifiers. Unexpected loss of his father. Wasn't able to go to the qualifier. Thought he had enough to get in off a resume. Unfortunately, didn't make it in. And he's been kind of battling back mentally to get himself to that point. Skill-wise, I feel like he's back. He's going through these state championships and conference qualifier or conference tournaments, having very, very strong runs, throwing over 10 PPRs at these regionals. I kind of feel like this is going to be the breakout performance from Justin Duke that's going to get him back towards his quest to be an ACL pro. So keep an eye out for Justin Duke here at Winter Haven. I think his pro journey begins now.
Wow. Let me ask you this, Wally, and I'm being serious when I ask this. Do you think sometimes when we put these lists up, and then you'll see people will post them on whatever social media platform that they're using, do you think they add some pressure when they do that to themselves? Like, hey, look who's looking at me this week. You know what I mean? Like, are they adding? And I'm not talking about Justin specifically, because I'm not sure if he's ever done that. I'm just saying, when people hear you say that, when Justin Duke hears you say that, is he thinking to himself, Wally's right, I am one of the best in the world? Or is he thinking, God, I really do need to step it up? Like, where do you think his head would be?
I do think it's always a boost in a positive direction for most of these players that share their list. They're saying, okay, now I got to prove them right. But more importantly than that, they kind of go to the boards and they grind a little bit harder, wanting to make sure that their name isn't tarnished. Because we saw, not to call him out last year, Jalen Jones went to Trey Ryder at one point last year in the season and said, hey, put me on your list, put me on your list, put me on your list.
Yep.
And Trey was like, all right, you want to be watched? Now I'm watching you.
Now I'm watching.
I didn't see anything out of that. So you got to make sure. I think it's a little bit different too. Whenever it's like, look at me, look at me, look at me. Hey, you're looking at me, as opposed to, oh crap, they're looking at me. Now I got to step it up a little bit. I don't know. I'm not. I was on. I think it was Mike Morton's list last year, going in the qualifier players to watch. I can speak from experience. It motivated me. I went to the boards and started grinding right away and tried to prove it. And just unfortunately ran into some tough teams. But.
Yeah. The problem when you start barking about yourself to try to get us to pay attention to, it's kind of, I'll make an analogy for you. It's kind of like a basketball coach and a referee. The coach is sitting there screaming, unless their last name's Krzyzewski or a couple others, sitting there screaming at the officials about, players being held, and all of a sudden, the officials start watching. And then they start blowing, calling fouls on your guys because they're now watching your guys. You've brought more attention. So you have to be careful.
Yeah, but no, we always get both sides of it too, though. We get the compliments.
Sure.
Baker, is it Trey or Tripp? Man, I'm getting confused right now. Anyway, he came up to me at the regional, and I apologize for butchering his name here on the spot, but he's like, hey, man, it's really, really cool when you put me on your list for the College Cornhole Championship, man. I really appreciate that. It meant a lot to me. I said, dude, you having a great performance there and then you and like 10 other people that are close to you sharing it, that's a huge impact on me. It makes me feel like I'm doing the right thing, so it goes both ways. We appreciate all the type of love, and be honest with you, I appreciate the negativity. I'll keep an eye out for Sammy Soda now if you guys want me to, but I'm telling you right now, I'm not gonna hold back if he lets you guys down or doesn't do anything good. If he throws well, I'll be the first one to tip my hat to him because I'll see it firsthand. But yeah, there's again, just like putting way too many players in the top 10. There's way too many players to put on these lists. We got 600 names to go through.
Yeah, it's I know mine are top heavy.
Yeah,
but look, that's kind of who I'm watching. That's kind of my job.
Yeah, I always like to sprinkle.
I know you do. That's why we work well together, Wally. That's the whole point. Yeah.
But all right, I think that's it, man. You want to go back and redo the beginning of the show where you cut out, or you good for the day?
I think we're good. My apologies for leaving you all by your lonesome there.
No, I got through it, man. I handled it amazing.
That's what you do.
Everyone in the chat was complimenting me, right?
That's why you're K9.
No, nobody noticed.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Nobody watches this. All right. Appreciate you, Bernie. Appreciate you, chat. I'll see you guys Friday for seniors, women's, and blind draw action on ACL platforms. If you want to tune into the K9 Unit sneak peek whenever we go through the rounders and extra hour coverage, I definitely appreciate all the support. Bernie, I'm going to take off, man. Have a good one, brother.
Take care, bro. I'll see you soon.